Welcome back to another Metroid 2 remake. I am your host Alex, also known as Solanus Dracone. With me as usual, Rambler81. Hello, Rambler.
Good day, everybody.
Alrighty, so speaking of the search and rescue team, or search and destroy team, or whatever the fuck these guys were called, I had an interesting thought. Wouldn't it be cool if we could play a game as the original search and destroy team? Now, you'd maybe say to yourself, well, how would that possibly play? Okay, check this out. Metroid Zero mission after you lose the suit.
Right.
Wouldn't that be a kick-ass game? Just an entire Metroid-sized game based on just, you know, being sort of agile and able to climb walls and shit and having a shitty little laser. No power-ups, just fucking...
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone made a ROM hack of that already.
That would be amazing to play, I think.
I'll look for that later on, remind me. But I've seen some pretty interesting ROM hacks like, all around anyway, so to have something like that, made something like that, I wouldn't doubt it.
Just with all the lore that surrounds this game and the fact that Metroid 2 got remade to this extent in the first place by a loyal fan, maybe that should be like a next project of his, and he should just be known as the Metroid 2 remake guy. Let's play a game.
Also, dude, you're killing me. Start using your pseudo screw attack already.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Shit. I guess I was thinking of some other place.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Thank you. So... Scrub. Alright, wait a minute. What did I miss up there? The fuck was that all about? Oh, maybe it was just one of those things. Yeah, let's go back and retrieve whatever the hell that is.
Good as time as any.
Yeah, I suppose.
I like when you get to different, like, as you proceed, like, further and further down, the rock actually changes.
Yeah, you do see different strata. That is actually a good effect. They kinda had that.
I guess so, yeah. At least each area had its own distinct, like, area as well, like, formations and what have you, but yeah.
Exactly. There was, like, in the original Game Boy version, they did an amazing job with the hardware and software limitations that existed at the time, so I'm not going to allow anybody to say, this game is fucking better. I mean, yeah, it is kind of better, I suppose, but given what they had to work with at the time, they did an amazing job. And you always, always, always have to take context into consideration whenever you're saying something is better than. Because if something like this came out back then, well, let's face it, we'd have, you know, just a whole lot more shit going on. Cell phones would have come out about 3 decades earlier, kind of thing. So, what was available at the time always has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, this one's tedious
slightly challenging.
Yeah.
Anyways, there is at least something down here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. God, so not worth.
Okay. Extra missiles are always kind of handy. I guess the regular missiles are a bit of redundance in this game.
Let's just probably say that if we get as many of the regular missiles as possible, we'll have a little bit of a safety buffer when it gets to the Omega Metroids, because, well... yeah. Anyways... Zeta Metroids coming up eventually. And yes, we did get way past starting to fight the Zeta Metroids in the original playthrough. Why am I going this way? Dumbass. We did get way past fighting against the Zeta Metroids in the original playthrough. So, yeah, that's where the surprise isn't going to come into play. The pants shitting ain't going to happen so much here. But I imagine there'll still be some frustrating, intense moments that'll make us be all, ooh, skin of our teeth.
Yeah, there are a lot of like great like events that happen in this game. Like for something like again, that the original story, which is so basic, or even Metroid having a narrative in the first place. So, I mean, that was a very difficult thing to convey in the original games, and just how much they added to it here. Like even with the finding the scientist teams and such, right?
Exactly. But then, you know, narrative always existed in Metroid games to a certain extent. I'd say starting with Super Metroid, really.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first time they added a narrative. And just that moment, okay, that's perfect for me. The moment when you reunite, so to speak, with the baby Metroid, and he grew up just a bit, which kind of makes me wonder how exactly did that shit happen, because he got really big, didn't he?
Well, I think it was kind of mentioned. I don't know if it was in that game specifically, but I think it was mentioned canonically somewhere that the pirates have been using like radiation to grow them to abnormal sizes.
Yeah, and that could have had other things to do. Plus, and we can't discount this possibility, as the last Metroid in existence in the universe, could have been that, this was growing up to be a queen.
I'm trying to remember, because I think they do talk about the queens a little bit. It was just this morning that I finished the game, really. But where they actually discuss the breeding, or for Queen Metroid's breeding habits a bit. And essentially,
Sorry, it's just these little assholes, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's this game's headcanon, though. That's
true.
That's not official anything.
Yeah, but if it isn't official, it does a lot to build its own world, too. I think it's still fascinating to read.
I just think that for my fan canon purposes, that the baby Metroid that got so huge in the larval form only because probably, as the last of its race, just, genetic programming dictates you must now propagate the race. And so you either was going to become the Queen Metroid or an Omega Metroid or something like that, which probably not Omega. So maybe just the Queen form has a longer larval stage. Anyways, here's a fun little thing. It's in conversation we really had before. What's with the drilling machines that are powered by the fucking North Ball form?
I think the ball might just be a control mechanism more than power anything else.
Just somebody incorporated in a morph ball sized mode for this fucking machine.
Actually, I do recall in Metroid Prime, at least, there are some locations that you'd essentially insert your ball form and use your speed boost to power certain mechanics.
Yeah, which,
certain mechanisms.
And that's fine, because obviously the morph ball does come up as quite a bit of lore in a lot of Metroid games. Is like, the Space Pirates tried to duplicate that technology, but
and failed horribly.
Fucking miserably. So probably let's safely say that the Chozo had morph balls as kind of, a part of their culture. That, they utilized that technology to quite some degree.
That'll kind of explain why Samus' suit had that function in the first place, then.
Exactly. The Chozo probably had to rely upon the morph balls to a certain extent. Kind of like how we depend upon our cell phones these days.
I'm actually starting to imagine, we didn't really play the Prime games that much, but I'm just trying to imagine, a battle with the Space Pirates if they had morph balls in that particular game, if they managed to succeed in reverse engineering a lot of Samus' equipment like they did with the beams.
Oh, now I'm just imagining some shit like Beyblade.
Don't bring that into the conversation.
Heads up, I never watched or participated in Beyblade, so, I only know that it was interesting because it was spinning little fucking blades and whatnot.
We shouldn't turn this into a whole Beyblade dumping grounds, because that wasn't part of our generation. That'd be like having younger kids subjecting them to old cartoons of the '90s and having them say, well, this kind of sucks. Well, I don't know.
Well, there's a channel that does that. The Fine Brothers run it.
Yep. But then again, it does kind of help us remove our nostalgia goggles to see if what we're looking at back then was any good. Some things age better than others. Like Batman certainly aged a lot better than, say, Ninja Turtles.
You're talking about the Sunsoft game, right?
Well, I'm talking about the cartoon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the original Ninja Turtles did kind of suck, but they depended a lot on the culture of the time. And that was the thing, is that
very much of the time.
That is the thing about, whether or not survivability of things happens, is because you're depending upon the culture of the time. The Ninja Turtle series obviously happened in the 80s. In that universe, in that canon, it was the 80s at the time. Whereas Batman has always kind of enjoyed a certain ambiguous spot in history, sort of ostensibly happening in the 1940s-ish, but not quite, Just so
he's always been adapted to change with the times as well. If he survived the Silver Age of comics, then he's essentially, you could put Batman in any sort of light, he'll usually kind of work.
Yeah, he does well. fucking hell. This is a shitty-ass boss room.
And those bubbles are floating around. I was like, I can help!
Yeah, you're helping the Metroid. Very heavily, I might add. But, thankfully, since I can just shoot the damn missiles right through these guys, you are helping me more than you're helping him.
I don't know if the bubbles are affecting him that much.
No, they are not even hampering him slightly. But hey, this particular iteration of that battle went better than the first one did.
Just a bit.
And our obligatory shaky shakes.
I thought it was kind of strange when I finally remembered to turn my rumble on from my controller for this game. I think the only time I actually did rumble was for these particular sequences.
Oh god, oh god, oh god. And the sad part is I did exactly this the first time too. I have learned nothing.
Those things are a pain in the ass, though.
They are. And they existed in the original game as well. I'm pretty sure they did have a space jump in the original game, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they had the space jump. I was thinking about if these guys were in there. I'm not rightly sure if they were.
I think they were. I think you did have some kind of little buffer species that happened. Alright, so what gives? Do we have to go all...
yeah. Kind of a smaller area, a little bit inconsequential, but still, got the drill machine, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it was cool to see the drill machine. I like that drill machine. The tunneler.
Yeah.
Tunneler kicks ass. Tunneler best waifu. Put your
really drills into your heart.
Put your morph ball in me, senpai. It's not like I wanted you to get inside of me, Baka. Baka. Samasaren no Baka.
Do you think it's really good at penetration?
Well, it broke through a lot of barriers here. No senpai, not there. The strata is all wrong. Not so hard. Okay, alright, I'll stop.
Yeah, we're not going to take this to any good places.
There is no good place to go. Let's not make this about my creativity. The subject matter just isn't fucking salvageable. And I should mention, by the way, I'm an anime fan, okay? I wouldn't call myself a complete otaku, but I'm not dissing anime here. Just, it's good to be self-aware of the tropes. Case in point, Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. We all know that one, right?
I know the intro.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, anybody who knows about Melancholy of Haruhi, yada yada yada, they know who the characters are. And this is something that I noticed, okay, that I noticed about myself, in a sense, that, you know, anime has tropes. Anime obviously has archetypes that are always serving the same, you know, basic function. And that's true of any fiction, but, you know, anime has its own set. So, when my first ever way of seeing the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, excuse me, I'm fucking up my...
Just say Melancholy.
Just Suzumiya Haruhi, whatever. The point is, that was the first time I ever saw anything of it, was the Hare Hare Yukai dance. And I pretty much figured out exactly who these characters were and what their role in the story was, just from watching that. Just looking...
Hey guys!
Yeah, exactly. I'm in this video too.
Bye!
Me too! But, so, I mean, you can easily tell a lot of the times what a character is going to be like just by looking at their facial expression. So, you know, for instance, in that video, just by looking at Haruhi's face, that she was obviously the confident, smug, smirky one that kind of ran the group and was, you know, always getting into shit. So, you can tell that right away. Then you also knew that, shit, I forget the yandere girl's name, fuck. I don't like that sort of stuff. I forget the girl's name that, you know, was basically just the alien from another planet or whatever, but you could tell from her facial expression she was the one that never spoke, just the quiet one that, you know, was all scientific about things and didn't react. The only one in that video that didn't quite match up was, Mikuru, the redhead, with the jiggling tits, because obviously I noticed that, and her face did not give away her true character there, because in general she's a very shy girl, you know, very very horrified if Haruhi tries to sex her up just a bit, make her a little bit more sexy. And it didn't show in that video. Like, she was actually smiling and enjoying herself and being a happy-go-lucky, carefree girl. And that was not Mikuru's character at all. So, for the most part, you can tell exactly who a character is going to be in an anime just by looking at their face. Just by looking at a picture of their face and what they generally look like, you can tell what type of character, what sort of personality they're going to have, because that sort of shit is staple in anime stuff. Which it's more easy to detect that in animated form, really, because you can put facial expressions on characters and, set them statically that way. Come on, guys, stop saying hi. You can set facial expressions on anime characters and have them be set exactly what you want. It's a little bit harder to replicate that in real life.
Yep.
Like, just waiting for this fucker to stop ranting. Okay, fine.
You want to take my username, or do you want to be the Rambler?
Kiss my ass. Alright, let's talk about something you want to fucking talk about. You set the tone, Rambler. I'll just play this goddamn game.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Your turn, man.
Alright, well...
Justify that paycheck you're not getting from me.
Exactly.
Now, stop. I didn't comment on it the first time that I played through here, but don't these look like ridiculous fucking enemies? Just gigantic beaks.
They do look pretty ridiculous, but there's something even more ridiculous you'll be able to do with them later on. I'm not going to say anything about that, though.
This is pretty silly, but also pretty fun at the same time. Just blew out a couple boulders.
Actually, I will say on the presentation of this game, if you want to wheel around back to that, this very much makes you think of the differences between like the Game Boy Advance Castlevanias to Symphony of the Night, whereas the later had a lot of like individual sprites to work together to build a certain a character on the screen. They would explode with a mass of like textures and such. You'd have zombies that were literally bursting with pixelated blood spurting all over the place, individual pixels and such.
Yeah.
And so then now we have this game with the fidelity that's afforded by the PC, and you have all these enemies like even this guy here, made of 3 different sprites moving in unison to create the illusion of movement and such. And when they explode, it's all in very flashy, very multi-part animations, which I think is kind of very impressive that the maker was actually able to get that kind of presentation out of it.
Exactly.
See, I can ramble too.
Yeah. Keep going, man. This is gold.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of folks would think this is the only save point, and it's really one of the only convenient save points, we'll give it that, but there is another save point, and it's probably worth going to right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he'd make any sort of blanket statement saying, oh, this is the only save point there. Not like I would say anything like that.
Oh, yeah, you'd never mention that
Never.
in any episodes that we recorded but lost.
Yeah.
That sort of thing would be forever lost to the ages.
So you have no proof. Ha!
So here's the other save point in the area, and this one's actually pretty well placed, I'd say, because there's some shit you gotta deal with in this area here. Some kind of, cockamamie bullshit that you have to kind of sort your way through, and, it's a little surprise that they throw at you. Just nothing really too major, but it's something you want to save before hitting.
It's the toenail clipping collection. I made that joke last time.
And we were talking about the Naglfar, the ship made of toenails from Norse mythology. That
I still remember that.
Dude,
I know. I'm not making fun. Just the idea that that's actually a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's Norse mythology.
Man, I hope that somehow comes up in the Marvel Universe and use that as a part of Loki's devices, even though I don't think they ever keep it on the comics, I hope.
Okay, this guy got tired of waiting, like, I'm coming to you, bitch. Fine. I think I have a better chance firing straight up against this guy in general.
Yeah, you do have to pick your angles. You just can't hold the direction, the diagonal, the entire time. It is advantageous to use different directions as well. I mean,
exactly.
That sounds kind of dirty, but you get very used to just holding diagonal up and just hoping for the best the entire time.
Yep. Well, in this case, I'm holding the left bumper.
Right. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, we just fought a Gamma Metroid. Nothing big. Nothing too big.
Yeah.
It's just, you know... Papyrus could probably do it.
I am the best Metroid hunter! I will capture a Metroid, and I will bring it to the Ceres space station, and I will give endless power to all of the Galactic Empire. Or Galactic Federation, whatever they have in this universe.
Yep. Come on. Land one super missile on this guy. Thank you. Fuck! And they recharge.
It looks like you dropped the ball.
Oh, good one, James. Or Papyrus, excuse me. Good one, Papyrus. Dude, Papyrus would try to, you know, fucking talk sense to the Metroids.
You probably would, actually.
Oh, look, it's hugging me, and I'm feeling so weak all of a sudden.
Oh god, they outgrow that whole leeching energy from you thing after the larval stage. They have other ways of hunting fresh meat. So...
I wonder if maybe, like, the excessive drinking of life force, whatever the heck they are extracting. Like, even in the Prime series, they say it's kind of nebulous exactly what they're extracting out of the creatures they
I'm
feed
thinking
from.
fluids.
Well, not even fluids. Apparently, it's just some sort of energy that's just failed to be described. But anyways,
Yeah. Well, could
drop point.
Could be the you know, electrical energy between the nerves, because there is electrical energy. So
That's true.
But-
Anyways, I think what I remember what I was going to say though. I just kind of that's what feeds them in order to grow into these larger stages, sort of like a sustenance.
So you think that kind of in their larval forms they lack the basic electrical capabilities, you know, for their bodies to produce their own energy, which makes sense because there's not really a whole lot of capability for a ton of photosynthesis and other normal methods on this ball that we call SR388 for them to actually have you know, been able to extract their nutrients. You don't see a lot of plant life really. I mean,
Well, if you recall, that they were bred for a specific reason, as
Exactly.
referred to in Metroid 4. So I think largely they're cleaned out. So all that's left now is just the general flora and fauna.
Exactly, and so really, you know, that larval form had it engineered, I suppose, to be able to extract the electrical energy, and then later on they gained better forms of hunting. Like this. Hi. It's the fucking Predator.
Which actually, it's not an inapt reference, actually.
Oh boy. Now see, I got good. Shit!
He's getting better.
He figured that shit out quick, but I already buried like 4 super missiles in his chest, so he's not going to be long in going down. Interesting note about the demo versions before full release on this game is that it used to be a fairly safe save point that you could stand at in the room in order to just cheese this guy, but that was noticeably taken out.
Oh, that went a lot better than I expected.
Well, yeah, I got good, basically, is what happened. Plus, I have an extra 4 super missiles at this point that I didn't have before.
I should mention, in terms of strategy for fighting these guys, you want to start off with your super missiles, because as you see, eventually you actually start batting away the missiles as you get them, as they get lower in health.
Exactly. So, I want to thank you all for watching. Once again, my name is Alex, also known as Solon Estracone. This has been Am2R. With me has been Rambler81. Goodbye, Rambler.
So yeah.
Bye.